Stephanie. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to share some of the things that I got up to on my recent trip to Washington, D.C. To get here, it is about a 4-hour drive from New York City, depending on traffic. You could also take the train. I personally have never taken the train from New York City to Washington, D.C., but I do know people who have, and it's also another great way to get here if you don't have a car. This was actually my first time staying in Washington, D.C. for a couple of days. The last few times that I have gone have been quick day trips, so this was a new experience for me and I got to explore more and get more of that DC vibe. I feel like I always have to make a disclaimer every time I make these kind of videos. Obviously, there's so much more to see and do in Washington, DC. This is just what I got up to during my trip. So before I share any of my recommendations, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and let's get started. There are so many options for accommodations if you are planning to book a stay in Washington, D.C. for all budgets. During my time here, we decided to stay at the Ven at Embassy Row, which is located in the DuPont Circle neighborhood. I really love this property and how spacious our room was, and we had amazing views of the city. We were in walking distance to many restaurants, shops, and even the metro. I do have a whole separate video on the hotel giving you guys more information of the property and my experience there, so if you would like to check that out, I'll have that link down below, but I will be giving you guys a sneak peek right now. How much of a food scene Washington, D.C. has. Before, when I was doing my research, I did have a list of really cool restaurants I wanted to check out, but during my trip, time was just not on my side and I wasn't able to check out all the restaurants I wanted to originally. This just means I just need to come back on another occasion and check out these restaurants, maybe do a separate video on the food scene there, because there's so many cool places to check out. But all the places I did end up trying out were really good, so definitely check out the food scene. There's like so much to choose from. Washington, D.C. has so many museums, galleries, and Smithsonian museums to check out. It can be very overwhelming if you try to fit so much in a short amount of time. I mean, there is such thing as museum fatigue, but when you are coming to Washington, D.C., I feel like for the most part, many visitors have the Smithsonian museums as top priority because they are free. Yes, they're free, and I believe there are 17 Smithsonian museums in DC, which is a lot. Majority of the Smithsonian museums are located in the National Mall area, and let me tell you, it's a lot of walking. Bring comfortable shoes. I cannot stress that out enough. I think I got in more steps here on this trip than I do on a regular day in New York City, which is saying a lot. I definitely recommend checking out other museums and galleries that pique your interest, because you never know what will surprise you. There was actually a museum a block away from the hotel that I was staying in, and it was something I didn't expect, and I really enjoyed my time there. It was free to enter, but it was an hour-long guided tour, and it was really cool because I felt like I was transported to Europe, just because the interiors were really well preserved and the decor was very European centric, and I just really loved that tour, and that caught me by surprise because I had no idea what the Anderson House Museum was prior to entering, so it was really cool, and I definitely recommend checking that out if you are nearby. If you know me, you know that I love a good botanical garden moment. So the US Botanical Gardens is a must-stop. Like, you need to go. Not only is it beautiful on the outside, but once you enter, it's just like, wow. Super gorgeous, love it. So I actually went twice. You're probably like, why are you going twice to the same place? Well, the first time I went 10 minutes before closing, so I didn't get to see everything that I wanted to see. And the second time that I went a little bit earlier so I can actually enjoy the botanical garden and see everything when it wasn't that busy, because let me tell you, before closing, it was crazy packed. You could barely walk. There were so many people. But yeah, I would definitely recommend going as early as you can. It is free to enter. It's just truly beautiful. I highly recommend going, and it's an awesome place for photos and videos. There were so many people having like photo shoots, so it's a great place for photos. Highly recommend. I I mean, can you really visit DC and not visit the White House? I feel like you just have to. You can get views and photos at the White House on the back side and the front side, but I feel like in the front side, a little bit steps away where there's a garden area is the best place for photos to get of the White House, because if you're up close, there's just bars like blocking the view and you can't really see it. But if you take a few steps and walk to the garden area right in the front, you're able to get better photos of the White House. But yeah, it's always busy there. Obviously, there's just so much security, and there's lots of group tours and school trips or protests or just tons of tourists there. There's always something happening in that area. So there's so many monuments and memorials to also check out, but just be aware in this area, it is hard to find parking. Like any other city, it's just hard to find parking in busy tourist attraction locations. But I would definitely recommend either taking the metro or an Uber to get to this area, just because it's just a lot easier. I saw a lot of people getting tickets because they're on it over there. Trust me, you don't want to get a ticket and ruin your trip. So I would definitely recommend just being prepared when you want to visit these areas, because it gets crazy depending on the season that you go or the time of the week that you go. I would definitely recommend, if you're doing like a day trip, to visit as early as possible all the memorials and monuments, because later in the day it gets more busy. But I do have to say, at night it does also look cool because the way it's lit up. I think it's a cool way to see those places as well, but it's up to you what you guys prefer. I was so sad I wasn't able to catch the Cherry Blossom Festival here in Washington, D.C. because we came a week too late. I am so sad because that week it was actually rainy, super windy, and cold that by the time we got there, they were basically all gone, which was so sad. That was one of the main reasons why we wanted to go to Washington, D.C. during this time of year, was to see the cherry blossoms, and it should be on your bucket list as well, because it's one of the main reasons so many visitors go during this time, because it's just one of the main attractions in Washington, D.C. From the photos and videos that I've seen, it looks gorgeous. Like, it looks so dreamy. That means I just have to come back another time and hopefully catch them when they're still at peak, because it's so hard to like track it if you're not there, because different websites give different information, and with the weather being so unpredictable, it's really hard to know that by the time you go, you could have missed it by a few days or they could be gone. It is an attraction that you have to go and check out yourself. The whole city celebrates the cherry blossoms because you'll find everything cherry blossom in souvenir shops, in restaurants, in regular shops as well. If you have time, I would definitely recommend making a stop in Georgetown. It is a 12-minute drive from Washington, D.C., depending on traffic. There is a lot to do in this area, and that could be its own video as well, but you can definitely check out the infamous Georgetown University, check out the cute neighborhoods. There's tons of shops and restaurants as well. It's just a nice place to stop by and walk around or drive by if you have the time. It's just a different vibe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I already want to go back. If you guys have any recommendations of places I didn't include or want me to check out to make a video in the future, let me know. Leave a comment down below if you've ever visited Washington, D.C. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for my next video. Ciao!